Patch notes for 2.6.7 just hit today, and they go live on PTR this Thursday for 1 week and 1 week only. In this video, we're going to tell you exactly what changed and how it affects the game of Diablo 3. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, you guys might think to yourself, wow, Fluff, your voice sounds great. And while I appreciate the compliment, I am a little under the weather at the moment, so please excuse the chicken scratch for a voice. So kicking things off here, one of the first things they say is one of the biggest pieces of feedback I got from Season 18, the Triune buff, was that the buff didn't necessarily stick with your character as you move throughout the rift, and that's one of the things they want to address with Season 19. So what are they doing? Well, Season 19 is the Season of Eternal Conflict. As you guys know, kill streaks are a thing in Diablo. Kill streaks are like an industry-wide thing. If you kill one thing close to a second thing, you get a kill streak. So effectively, this patch, every single time you kill something, you're going to get the stack of this buff. Pandemonium, it might be what it's called. Each stack gives you 0.05% movement speed and 0.1% bonus damage, which caps at 1,000 stacks, meaning at max stacks, you'll get 50% movement speed and 100% damage. Now, that 100% damage is the equivalent of standing in a purple circle from the Triune. The caveat, of course, being that it goes with you through the rift. Now, of course, where this gets interesting is after achieving certain kill thresholds, certain effects happen. At 15 kills, you get 5 massive energy twisters that are unleashed. 30 kills, dark geysers form beneath enemies. 50 kills, exploding chickens seek and destroy. 100 kills, corpses rain from the sky. 150 kills, a wide frost nova freezes enemies. 200 kills, treasure chests fall from the sky. 300 kills, a ring of fire engulfs everything. 400 kills, meteors fall from the sky. And 500 kills, angels descend upon the battlefield to fight for your cause. And 1,000 kills, question mark, question mark, question mark. Now, as a lot of you guys know, a few weeks ago, we discovered that with 100% certainty, Diablo 3 is now with the Classic Games team. We didn't have any confirmation on that before, but now we 100% know that it is with Classic Games. Now, we don't know how many people are on the Classic Games Diablo team. We don't know what kind of resources that they have. And one of the things I will say is I think that Classic Games does a better job than maybe even the original Diablo 3 team, because the rate at which we've been getting content in the past year has been better than any stage of Diablo. So when I say what I'm about to say, I don't want to seem unappreciative, because I think that they're doing a good job. But as I read the seasonal buff, and I'm excited because it's new, it'll be fun, right? I think that's the key thing here, is it'll be fun. I think that might be their focus going forward, is effects that are, fun. But unfortunately, this doesn't add any layers or depth to the game of Diablo 3, which I feel like it's drastically missing, right? I think a lot of players were hoping for a seasonal theme that would add some sort of endgame content on top of rifts and greater rifts, so you're not just grinding those two things over and over. And I read this, and well, again, I think it'll be fun for a lot of players. I think that's exactly all it will be, which I think is unfortunate. And to add to that, and this is going to sound toxic, and I don't mean it for it to sound toxic, but every single thing you see on this list is something that's already in the game. 15 kills, 5 massive energy twisters. Well, that's just energy twister from the wizards. It's just like an extra spell that gets cast. 50 kills, exploding chickens, seek out and destroy. Okay, and the witch doctor, it's got exploding chickens. 100 kills, corpses rain from the sky. That's literally a rune on Grass of the Dead from the witch doctor. 150 kills, frost nova, obviously a wizard skill. It's just going to freeze everything. 200 kills, treasure chests fall from the sky. Okay, well, you're in the realm of greed. A treasure chest falls on greed. I assume it's going to be the same kind of thing. 300 kills, a ring of fire engulfs everything. Probably the same effect of when you proc the legendary gem. 400 kills, meteors fall from the sky. I assume that's either going to be just like meteor or maybe like the 2-piece firebird. 500 kills, angels descend upon the battlefield to fight for your cause. And if I was a betting man, that's just going to be the sky cutter effect, which is, as you guys know, a sword that already exists, that never gets used, but has a chance to summon angels when you attack. So I assume it'll be just like that. Now, for this 1,000 kill effect, immediately my brain went to like something cool, like summoning Diablo to fight for you. Who knows? But, based on everything else on this list, it's probably something that's already in the game that they're just kind of recycling. Now, again, I don't want to sound unappreciative. I'm just pointing out what I see in these patch notes. There's been a sort of a theme across these these seasonal themes where we just kind of rehash and recycle content that's already there that maybe is not utilized that much, but we really have yet to see something that's brand new to the game of Diablo 3. And again, some of us long-term players, we're just really hoping for more depth, another end game possibility, stuff that's going to keep us, playing more than a couple weeks into the season. But of course, the patch notes don't stop there. Unexpected by anyone, we're already getting the new sets that they promised, months ago. Every class is going to get a new set in Diablo 3. And right out of the gate, they're going to give us the Monk and the Crusader's new set, which I didn't expect at all. I expected them to wait until BlizzCon. So to me, this actually kind of says more than what's on the surface, right? So one is, it kind of seems like maybe they're going to get all the Diablo 3 content out of the way before BlizzCon, and then maybe not even talk about Diablo 3 at BlizzCon. Whether or not that means they have so much other stuff to unveil to us that they don't have time to talk about Diablo 3. That's kind of the dream. Or is they don't really see anything in Diablo 3 as fitting to be at BlizzCon. I don't know. But I very much anticipated all these sets being announced at BlizzCon. So to get them a lot sooner than expected is kind of surprising. But what they go on to say is they're not going to release all the sets at once. They're going to kind of sprinkle them into Diablo 3, and we're getting the Crusader and the Monk first. Well, it's also not in these patch notes, but we heard from Dainty is these sets will not go into the Hadrig's Gift seasonal rotation until all those sets are released. Until all 7 sets are released, we will not see them introduced into the Hadrig's Gift rotation. So there's not going to be any way of getting these new sets other than farming them when the season comes out. Now the juicy juice, okay? Crusader, new set, Aegis of Valor. One of the things I've been hoping for a super long time is a Fist of Heavens set. Fist of Heavens, I think, is one of the cooler looking spells at the Crusader's disposal. So to finally see you get a set is super hype. 2-piece bonus, the charged bolts from Fist of Heavens have a chance to cast another Fist of Heavens. And that might sound familiar because Dark Light does the same thing. Fist of Heavens has a now 100% chance to cast twice. So you're going to use Dark Light Flail inside this new Fist of Heavens set, so you can get a significant number of Fist of Heavens bolts when you cast Fist of Heavens. 4-piece bonus says hitting with Fist of Heavens reduces damage taken by 1% per 5 seconds, stacking up to 50 times. And then 6-piece, increase the damage of Fist of Heavens by 10,000%, which is, Legacy of Dreams level damage. That's a really high amount of damage. And I'm very excited to see how this works with the new Dark Light, which, as you guys know, 100% chance to cast twice now instead of 45 to 60%. And the legendary power increases it by 200 to 250% damage. Obviously meant to be played together. Now, again, I look at this and my immediate reaction is it's a little simplistic, right? So we see Fist of Heavens, Fist of Heavens, Fist of Heavens, right? The set doesn't encourage a play style. It just buffs Fist of Heavens damage, which I think is a big missed opportunity because there's other skills that I feel are pretty underutilized for the Crusader. And to me, Fist of Heavens, it comes from the sky. I think that Heaven's Fury would have been a great choice to be included in the set. Not the shotgun rune, but all the other runes, they come from the sky. I think that's amazing. I think you could even reuse Falling Sword. I know it gets used in the hammer set, but I think this would have been a better choice for Falling Sword, which again, because it comes from the sky. So again, it's just affecting Fist of the Heavens. You're just going to sit there and your spams Fist of Heavens. I'm excited to test it, but I think they could have done more. Now, the new Monk set is also kind of interesting. So 2-piece bonus, Sweeping Wind gains the effect of every rune. We see this time and time again on a 2-piece. 4-piece, each enemy within Sweeping Wind increases your movement speed by 5%, stacking up to 10 times, which, obviously some of you guys might see this as well, but immediately you think, where's the damage mitigation? Usually that's a 4-piece bonus, but maybe they feel like it doesn't need it. And then finally, 6-piece, attacking with Tempest Rush while Sweeping Wind is active will temporarily increase the size of Sweeping Wind after hitting over 30 times within a short period. Sweeping Wind damage is increased by 10,000%. There's a couple really interesting things happening here. One is you notice that Tempest Rush damage is increased. So at first glance, you think this might be a Tempest Rush set, but it's not really. it's a sweeping wind set. Tempest Rush is a supporting skill. So I think all the players that really wanted a Tempest Rush set might be a little disappointed with how this plays. The other thing that really jumps out to me is this seems an awful lot like Lazy Mancer. So the goal of Lazy Mancer is to increase your pickup radius so that basically everything on your screen gets cursed, and when they're cursed, they get sucked into you, and then your little bone NATO, which is very much like Sweeping Wind, kills everything. So this is kind of like the opposite effect, where you're basically going to make your sweeping wind larger and larger, and effectively kind of like walk through the rift and everything will die, which is a super passive playstyle, kind of a lazy playstyle that I know a lot of players love. I'm a little underwhelmed again, and I don't say this to be toxic. I'm just reading patch notes and reacting. I think it's a little bit more interesting than the Fist of Heavens, other than the fact that like Fist of Heavens is a more exciting skill to me, but this is, I think, a more exciting interaction. But we'll have to wait and see. This to me, I read this and I think speed farming. I don't necessarily think like pushing leaderboards, but we'll see. I of course added a legendary effect to Eye of the Storm, which is fantastic because it didn't have one, which says when Sweeping Wind hits exactly one enemy, its damage is increased by 100%. So something to deal with, like big single targets, Rift Guardians, stuff like that, which again has some kind of speed farming implications because I don't see this scaling that well. One of the bigger changes, Vengeful Wind, which is the fist weapon, the maximum stacks go back up to 10, which has some implications in some of the other monk builds. But the additional power now states increases the damage of Sweeping Wind by 250 to 300% damage. So again, a perfect synergy with the new set. Now, a little tidbit of information. Patterns of Justice is the name of the new set. And that might not sound very monkey, but Nevelissus was actually in Bloodshed's chat as he was reading out some of these patch notes, and she said that the name would make sense when you see the set, whatever that means. So take that as you will. Now, again, reacting to this new monk stuff. So this is supposed to be a Crusader and monk, focused patch. I think Crusader's in a pretty decent place. I think monk direly needed to have Wave of Light limited to just one of the sets, and then to see the other sets that aren't the Wave of Light set buffed. And why that is because literally if you've been playing monk for like the last 2 years, all you've been playing is Wave of Light. And the problem is Wave of Light's the best skill when you use Innas. It's the best skill when you use Sun Wuku. The damage modifier on Wave of Light is just too good to not use. And so all the sets end up playing exactly the same. So what I really wanted to see for the monk, this being the monk patch, is Wave of Light limited to one of the sets and then let the other sets focus on other things and buff those damage modifiers up accordingly. So like say Inna's became the Wave of Light set, you could buff up Sun Wuku to be like the LTK set and give monks like more playstyles, which they could totally still do in a future patch. But again, they say this is like the Crusader and the monk patch. So I would have liked to see more. And then we kind of get into the meat of the patch notes, which is kind of some of the barb changes. So first and foremost, they change Wrath of the Waste. The damage bonus of the 6-piece now applies to Rend. So that 10,000% damage modifier of Whirlwind is now applied to Rend as well. This one kind of took me off guard because I fully expected them to remove Rend from Whirlwind. It didn't really fit on the set. And I'm surprised to kind of see them, double down on keeping Rend on the Whirlwind set, because to me it doesn't really fit. But with some of these changes, it might. So they also changed Lamentation, which is the belt that lets you stack Rend twice. They changed it to increase the damage of Rend up to 200%. And the most interesting change here is Ambo's Pride, which is a one-hand sword that didn't have a legendary effect before. So again, good on you, Blizzard, for adding an effect to something that didn't have one. There's nothing more annoying in Diablo than getting a legendary that doesn't have an effect. But basically it says attacking with Whirlwind also applies Rend, and the total damage of Rend is dealt over 1 second. So you're going to get 10,000% damage mod from 6-piece, 500% damage mod from 2-piece, 200% damage mod from the Lamentation, per second, which seems super, super strong on paper. The other thing that's really not mentioned here is how if you guys have ever watched someone push, someone that's really good at Whirlwind, push the leaderboard. It's the objective to basically pull the entire rift and then make your attack speed fly through the roof and Whirlwind everything down. And the progress just flies, right? It basically crashed the server. That's what you try to do. And now they're adding the Rend back into the set. So damage over time effects have higher calculations than just normal like damage, and calculations cause more server lag. So you're taking the build that's literally the most laggy build in the game and you're adding a dot to it. I don't see how that will won't just immediately crash all the servers. But Nebulous has said that because it does it over 1 second, it's less cost intensive. But again, we're still talking about a build that's so laggy even without rend that adding anything more to it, it could only be more laggy. So I don't see how that's really going to work out. But hopefully PTR will work some of that stuff out. Remorseless got changed. Before I had like a 30% chance to summon an ancient, which was basically worthless. Now it basically increases Hoda damage only when you have Wrath of Berserker and Call the Ancients active. To me, I read this as, okay, this is obviously going to be used with Immortal King set because you have Wrath of Berserker and Call the Ancients up 100% of the time. But maybe, Raycor or LOD could use it in like a damage window, but that would involve putting Call the Ancients on your bar, which... Fjord Cutter, which is a mighty weapon, which before you were surrounded by a chilling aura when attacking, which was literally worthless. Now increases the attack speed of Seismic Slam to be 50% faster and also deals 100 to 150% increased damage against slowed or chilled enemies, which has some implications with Bracers of Destruction, which says Seismic Slam deals 400% to 500% increased damage for the first 10 enemies it hits now instead of 5, which is great. Fear of the Ancients gets a little change. Call the Ancients, gain the effect of Ancients Fury Rune, which basically gives you Fury for every single time your Ancients hit. But now they attack 100% faster, so I assume that they're trying to get you to generate more Fury while you have the Fury of the Ancients on. So I read this and I immediately think, all of these have some synergy, like maybe with IK, they want you to be able to generate Fury with just the Ancients so that you can spam Seismic Slams just over and over, which might be a pretty interesting playstyle. But of course, we'll test this on PTR. But yeah, hopefully these changes will bring Barbarian more in line with some of the other classes. As you guys know, Barbs has been pretty behind for almost a year. Overall, I'm a little surprised not to see any set buffs to the Barb, to kind of increase their power. I don't know if their goal is to make, Raycor a Hoda set and IK a Seismic Slam set. Maybe these damage buffs will take them there. Now, one of the more interesting changes here is a nerf. And why am I so surprised by this? Because historically, Blizzard doesn't nerf anything. It's been literally years since Blizzard has nerfed something because it was doing too much damage. Blizzard nerfs things because a mechanic's broken, right? So like when Necro first came out, Myrne was proccing off Myrne procs, which was a bug. And so they fixed it and everyone's like, oh, you nerfed it. But they didn't really nerf it. They fixed the mechanic, right? So this is one of the rare times in Diablo history where we've seen a damage nerf because it's too strong, which it is. So Chantoto's got a small nerf. The attack speed of Wave Destruction has been reduced. Now, I don't anticipate this to kill Veer in any way. I assume it'll still be like the best wizard set. It'll just like step it back a little bit because it was just too freaking strong. So I think this is a good change. I think if they've overtuned it, then PTR will reveal that. And if you're a big Veer player, I would encourage you to get on PTR and push. And if you feel like it's too much of a nerf, then cry on the forums. The other thing that I just want to give a slow clap for is Bone Ringer got a nerf. You guys know I love the Necro. And one of the things I've been sort of begging for the Necro is to have Thorns get hit with the nerf bat. Because one, it's a terribly boring build. And two, it's not necessarily a legitimate build. And I think that's exactly what they aim to nerf with this. So Bone Ringer now has a cap of 60 stacks. Why is that significant? Because basically, the way Lawn Thorns worked is you could command your skeletons on RG. Skeletons stack crazy fast. They stack up stacks of Stricken crazy fast. They would infinitely stack stacks of the Bone Ringer. And then after a minute, 2 minutes of attacking the RG, as long as the RG had something that proc Thorns really well, you would just melt. Like the health of a 150 RG would just delete, which is just OP. In solo, the playstyle was equally terrible. Drag elites through the map with you, hoping that they had good affixes, and you can't drag too far because they'll lose target. It was awful, right? So I think this is a much needed nerf. I applaud Blizzard for this nerf. This, however, does mean that LOD Singularity Mages will be the best Necro push build, which is definitely a better build overall than Thorns Necro, but I still can't say it's the most fun. you could possibly have on the Necro. But at least it's legitimate. You know, I would have liked to have seen, again, this isn't the Necro focused patch, but again, I would have loved to have seen anything, you know, that I kind of talked about in our massive post about, you know, change suggestions for the Necro. But, you know, Necro, Wizard, DH, Witch Doctor, this isn't our patch. So that's kind of a bummer. If you know, want to main any of those classes, you won't be seeing anything new next season besides the seasonal theme, which is kind of feels bad because, you know, for me, I love playing Necro, but hopefully one of these new setups will really entice me. And then lastly, there's a couple quality of life improvements. One is Legacy of Dreams is now more likely to drop from a Greater Rift Guardian. Why is that important? Because that's basically saying at the start of the season, when you're like doing GRs and you get Bane of the Powerful first off, maybe now you get Legacy of Dreams second off because that gem is, you know, like one of the best gems you can get early on. How do I feel about that? I'm like a little ambivalent. I think this speeds up progression even faster, and the game already has like virtually no progression. It's whatever to me. The other change that I actually like is Greater Rift Keystones are now subject to vacuum pickup. All you guys season after season that say, oh, auto pickup, please. Your prayers have been answered. Keystones are now auto pickup. But that pretty much sums it up, right? So again, a season of Eternal Conflict, which gives this Pandemonium buff, which gives you, you know, more damage for kill streaks, and then special things for these kill streak thresholds. Again, I really hope that these are meaningful things. Say the 15 kill thing goes off and Energy Twister's unleashed. I really hope that that does significant damage, especially like in high GRs. Like maybe it's percentage health based or something. If I can say that, like, if you're in a GR 100 and you get the 15 kill buff and the Energy Twisters go out and they do like 0 damage, that doesn't feel good. I also don't necessarily love that you can't really control when you get these kill streaks. So you couldn't time it with, say, an RG kill, right? So say you really wanted to get the 500 kill streak with the Rift Guardian. Like, you could try to get 499 kills and then kill that last guy right for the art. I mean, but that would be so fishy. I think what would make this more impactful is, so say at 15 kills, you get the Energy Twisters and it becomes like a skill that you can activate anytime you want to, right? So these kill streaks become like these on-demand buffs that you can activate when you want to. So say your build's shit at dealing single target damage. You get all these kill streaks throughout the Rift, and then when the Rift Guardian spawns, you can, you know, cast a meteor, corpses rain from the sky, exploding chickens come out. You got all these things to kind of help you deal with the Rift Guardian. I think that would be more impactful than just like chickens going off when there's like nothing left on the screen for you to want to use them on, like there's just trash left or something. I don't know. And again, I like the seasonal theme idea. I like that they're being creative. I just don't necessarily love that they seem to be focusing more on fun, which sounds weird to say out loud, but it seems like they're focusing more on fun, which is somehow a negative thing, rather than focusing on end game content, rather than focusing on depth and layers to the game. Stuff that's going to keep, you know, the long-term players around, and stuff that's going to keep you engaged and excited about the game, you know, 2 weeks to 2 months into the season. You know, new sets, you know, kind of touched on, a little underwhelming. Still very excited to test them out. New changes, they look good. I'm excited to see what Barb can do now. I'm excited for the 2 nerfs that were implemented. I would have liked to seen a star pack wizard nerf as well, but beggars can't be choosers. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Are you guys super excited for all these changes in the upcoming season? Definitely let me know. I, of course, will be playing these this Thursday when they go live on PTR, twitch.tv/Lord_Fluffy, in case you guys didn't know. But that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. As always, like, subscribe, come over to Twitch, ask your questions. I love you guys. Peace out.